digital. So, arguably the greatest rap music producer ever. The resurrector in your sector. The RZA, the leader of the Wu-Tang Clan. Think about it like this. Now, Wu-Tang formed like Voltron, and GZA happened to be the head. And when it comes to the Wu-Tang swordsmen, if Wu-Tang was the Ninja Turtles, RZA would basically be Leonardo, the leader. Now, unlike Leonardo, he wouldn't have 2 katanas strapped to his back. He'd probably have 2 Glocks in his waist. But anyways, man, I don't mean to sound thirsty or anything. I know this is off topic, but RZA's wife is fine as hell. If that's who that is in the picture with them, RZA. Shout out to my brother RZA. Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang. But anyways, here's the deal. Everybody wants to know what the hell really happened. The night that Azealia Banks claims that Russel Crowe allegedly choked her, spat on her, called her the N-word, and threw her butt up out of a party. Now, she was RZA's guest at the party. So what does RZA have to say about it, my Jesus? Well, first of all, TMZ wrote an article and posted a video. I'm going to tell you what the article says. Then I'm going to tell you what RZA said in the video. For the record, the actual video is up on my blog. I can't post it here. And then I'm going to read to you what my man, the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan, had to say about it up on social media. So TMZ wrote, RZA has broken his silence condemning Azealia Banks for the confrontation with Russel Crowe, claiming Russell was simply trying to prevent her from intentionally cutting another guest with a glass. RZA came on TMZ Live and told us Russell did indeed spit on Azealia, like she claims, but he didn't choke her, nor did he hurl the N-word. He also said she was out of control and violent, and hinted she was wasted. RZA says he told cops the same story he told us. Azealia has filed a battery report with the BHPD. Is that the Beverly Hills Police Department? Well, anyways, so here's what RZA had to say about it all in this interview. Once again, the video is on my website, and it's 4 minutes and 39 seconds in length. So my rhyming hero and idol, the resurrector, said, before I say what he said, if RZA said it, you know it's the truth. That's right, for legal reasons. I'm more apt to believe RZA than other people, but since I was there, I cannot confirm nor deny anything. Shout out to the lawyers. Anyway, the RZA said, Azealia was insulting a lot of people in the room. Then she started threatening some girl about smashing her face with a glass. Now, Russell, of course, if I'm not mistaken, this was actually his party. So he's like, nah, you're not about to do that up in here. All right. So he ends up, of course, stepping in between or whatever and basically stops her. Now, according to RZA, he blocked the glass, and then he, as RZA worded it, expelled Azealia Banks from the room. That's a very teacherly. I don't know if teacherly is a word, but I'm sure RZA could tell me whether or not it is with his smart self. But that's a very teacherly term to use. He expelled her from the room. Okay. But RZA is the teacher. He is the abbot. Anyways, after he expelled her from the room, they get outside of the door. RZA got in between Russell and Azealia. Azealia tried to get back into the room. Anyways, Russell spat at her. The spit did not actually touch Azealia because RZA was in between them. If it would have got, on her, it would have had to get on him too because he was in the middle of them. She was trying to get back into the room, and RZA's like, AZ, that's what I guess what he calls her. He was like, chill. And he said that she was acting illogical and he does not know what got into her. Now, she tried to get back in to get her bag, but somebody ended up bringing her bag to her. In RZA's opinion, Russell didn't even really get mad. And he said that Azealia was calling Russell like all kinds of names. And now RZA's not going to get into exactly what Azealia said verbatim, but he said, she did attack him verbally and physically. That's what he can say. He can confirm those things according to his own perception of what happened, according to what he personally witnessed. This is his account. Now, RZA says that the incident, I guess the physical part of it, lasted about maybe 7 seconds or so. He said, Russell basically removed her from the room. She was swinging her arms and whatnot. somebody else ended up calling security, and it wasn't out of anger that Russell did this. And RZA feels like this. He understands that Azealia is a woman. However, whether it was a man, woman, or child, acting the way that she did, including threatening to stab somebody in the face, in RZA's opinion, it was best to expel her from the room at that point because she was just acting too belligerent. Now remember, she was RZA's guest at the party, so he made sure that she got home safe after all of this. And he said that Azealia, at this point, even though he has love for her, but Azalea's changing the story, and she's, reaching out to the public, basically creating a false narrative of what happened. And he did not hear Russell call her the N-word. However, Azealia was using that word all night. Nobody's surprised here. Anyway, RZA goes on to say that Russell, from what he could see, he did not choke her. Choke her? No. Grab her, physically pick her up, and remove her from the room? Yes, all of that is true according to RZA, but as far as this choking mess, no, it did not go that far. Now, as far as the whole RZA signing Azealia Banks to a record deal thing goes, because that was out there, that was a news story, he's not pursuing that at this point. Now, check this out. Now, Azealia was going through some things financially, and she was in a tight economic situation. And RZA helped her, gave her some money to help get her back on her feet. And she asked him whether or not he could help her, get a record deal or whatever. So he was like, look, man, I'll call up some of my friends in the business and see what I can do. Now, he found somebody who was willing to be a taker. However, his connection, his friend or whatever, was like, look, you got to put your name on this. You got to co-sign this chick because she has a bad reputation. She needed that Wu-Tang stamp of approval from the god, the RZA, the Abbot. Now, of course, Azealia Banks is the star of his movie that they're making right now. RZA feels like this. She's a young artist. He's rooting for her. And she's a young female artist from New York. So, And plus, with her being in his movie, starring in his movie that he cast, he picked her for his film. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do that for her. Now, RZA says that when he told her, like, look, I got somebody who's interested in signing a record deal with you. He said that Azealia went on the internet and was like, hey, everybody, I'm getting signed by the RZA. I got to deal with the Wu. Like, basically, that's the way she's making it seem like, this is some direct thing with Wu-Tang. See, this is how false rumors and false news gets put out there. Now, she's the one who had the deal on the table. And she, according to RZA, the other person involved, put out some information that wasn't exactly true. Now, at this point, RZA was like, look, I'll go ahead and let her say that, even though that's not exactly true. But, there was no dried ink on paper. The deal was not set in stone. It was actually within the negotiation stage or whatever. So it's not like the deal was said and done in the first place. And he said, Azealia is young, so he's pretty much giving her the benefit of the doubt. But as far as this mess where Azealia called my man a chump, and act like he would allow somebody to just like blatantly disrespect her like that. He's like, look, I got a wife. I got daughters. He has sisters. He has females who work on his staff as well. And he protects the women around him. However, he would pray that the women in his life would not act that way. So pretty much that's what he said in the interview with TMZ. Now I'm going to read to you what the RZA had posted up on social media. Brace yourself. So he said the following, and I have a separate video about Azealia's response. I'm not even going to put a response up in this video because this video is over 9 minutes in length already. So here's what RZA said. Positive energy activates constant elevation. That's a Gravediggers quote. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's from a song called Constant Elevation by the Gravediggers, which of course the RZA was one of the members of. He started that group. Anyways, RZA said, peace. Normally, I don't respond to negative social media attacks towards me. Yet in this case of Azealia Banks, I'm compelled to respond. Firstly, I only wish the best for her and any struggling artists in this complex industry. Ooh, I love the fact that he says she's a struggling artist. Oh, shit. Azealia was brought to my attention while I was casting my next film, Coco. I heard the rumors of her problems in the industry, but disregarded them. with the rationality, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Ooh, if only the police believe that. So my producer and I fought for her to be in the film, and we succeeded. During the filming process, things ran smooth and she delivered. Thus, my only experience with her had been professional. The only brief social moment was at the rap party. Therefore, quote, I had no real experience of her social behavior. A few weeks ago, Azealia hit me up for some economic help, and bong, I gave a helping hand. She then followed up asking me to help her get a record deal. I called a friend, and bong, a record deal was on the table. The only clause my buddy gave was I be the filter because the word is, quote, she is volatile. I called her and told her a deal was in the workings. She immediately prematurely went to social media and claimed she signed a deal with RZA. Yet no deal was signed. I didn't respond or comment to her post because I'm not the type to stop the hustle. I actually wanted her to win. I advised her to stay focused, leave social media and tabloids alone, and let your music and art do your talking. Thank you, RZA. Only she would have listened. She then hits me for a ticket to LA to work in bong. I comply. She then needs a place to stay in bong. I put her in a hotel. I returned to LA shortly after and we scheduled a meeting. I invited her to meet me at the BHH Polo Lounge. Yet I also had planned on spending some time with my buddy RC in his suite so I can ask him, can she join? He says, cool, Bobby. So I invited her. Before the night is over, Azealia is insulting half the room. She becomes loud and obnoxious. There was nothing funny about her behavior. I felt a little embarrassed because she was my guest. Still, verbal abuse can be tolerated, but when it goes physical, Azealia threatens to cut a girl in the face with a glass, then actually grabs a glass and physically attacks for no logical reason. Russell blocked the attack and expelled her from the suite. Seeing is believing, and I saw her behave as an obnoxious, erratic individual. And in the circle I frequent, this was unprecedented. I was totally puzzled by her and thought maybe meds or booze or something had her zoned out. Nevertheless, I made sure she got home safe. This is not a race or gender issue. I did not hear Russell call her a ninja. I'm not trying to protect Russell from anything. He is a man of his own caliber. My art, talent, and success speaks for itself, and Azealia's recent slander of me and self-victimization reflects the personality of the person that was in that room that night. I have a wife, daughters, sisters, and females on my staff, so I protect women every day. I pray none of them ever behave the way I witnessed Azealia Banks behave that night. Signed, RZA. Thank you very much to Resurrected in your sector from Shaolin to the holy city of Mecca. It could have been a tragedy that night. Thankfully, RZA didn't have to turn into Bobby Digital and bring the motherfucking ruckus because, you know, Wu-Tang is out there cutting heads off of snakes. And if the Clan was in the front, they may have thought that more was going on than what actually happened. And they may have intervened with their Wu-Tang style or even with their Tiger style. And it could have been a tragedy. But thankfully, the RZA, being the level-headed person that he is, was the only Wu-Tang member there that I know of, even though I was there in spirits and I feel as if I'm a member of Wu-Tang sometimes. Anyways, Jesus, I am so happy that things did not get any worse. Thankfully, there were a bunch of people there that were like, look, we're not trying to have any of this drama up in here. RZA, Russell, and the rest of the kind people that were there. I know that Azealia flipped out and tripped out. I'm not going to say that I believe every bad thing I heard about what she did that night, because I don't want anybody contacting me saying you can't say that. I'll just put it like that. All I'm going to say is this. I'm more apt to believe the RZA than anybody else involved. That's my dude. I believe what RZA said. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, this is all my opinion, but what do I know? I'm just an asshole with the microphone. Let me know what you think about it all below. Be sure to subscribe to the Meat Magazine YouTube channels. Visit meatmagazine.blogspot.com for more. Follow me on Twitter at Meat Magazine, Meat Magazine 7 on Google+, Meat Magazine blog on Instagram. So